The body rarely shouts when hormones drift out of balance. It whispers. It changes tone. It adjusts patterns so gradually that many women adapt without realizing anything is wrong. Hormonal imbalance doesn't always announce itself with dramatic symptoms or obvious diagnoses. More often, it hides in sensations that are easy to dismiss, normalize, or blame on personality, age, or stress. Yet hormones govern nearly every system that keeps the body synchronized. When they fall out of rhythm, the effects ripple quietly, everywhere. One of the earliest silent signs is persistent fatigue that sleep doesn't fix. This isn't the tiredness that follows a long day. It's a bone-deep exhaustion, a feeling that energy is leaking faster than it can be replenished. Cortisol, thyroid hormones, estrogen, and progesterone all play roles in energy regulation. When cortisol remains chronically elevated or thyroid hormones drift low, the body enters a state of metabolic drag. Cells slow their work. Motivation dims. The world feels heavier even when life hasn't objectively changed. Mood shifts are another subtle signal. Irritability, anxiety, emotional numbness, or a sense of being overwhelmed by small stressors often get labeled as mental health issues alone. But estrogen and progesterone directly influence neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. When estrogen fluctuates unpredictably, or progesterone remains low, the brain's emotional buffering system weakens. Feelings arrive sharper. Recovery takes longer. A woman may feel unlike herself without being able to explain why. Sleep disturbances often follow. Difficulty falling asleep, waking between 2 and 4 a.m., or restless, unrefreshing sleep can all reflect hormonal misalignment. Cortisol is meant to peak in the morning and fall at night. Melatonin rises in darkness, preparing the body for rest. When stress, inflammation, or disrupted circadian rhythm interfere, these signals blur. The body stays alert when it should soften. Night becomes a negotiation instead of a refuge. Changes in appetite and cravings are another quiet clue. Sudden sugar cravings, intense hunger late at night, or feeling unsatisfied even after eating enough are not failures of discipline. Insulin, cortisol, estrogen, and leptin all influence hunger signaling. When insulin resistance develops or cortisol remains high, the body seeks quick energy. Cravings become biochemical requests, not character flaws. Skin changes can also signal internal shifts. Adult acne along the jawline, slower wound healing, unexplained dryness, or increased oiliness may reflect androgen imbalance, altered estrogen metabolism, or thyroid dysfunction. Skin is a hormone-responsive organ. It responds to what circulates beneath it long before lab values cross diagnostic thresholds. Weight changes, especially around the abdomen, often occur without major lifestyle shifts. Hormonal imbalance doesn't always cause rapid weight gain. Sometimes it causes stubbornness. The body resists change. Fat storage patterns shift under the influence of cortisol and insulin. A woman may eat and move the same way she always has, yet her body responds differently. This isn't metabolism breaking, it's adapting to a new hormonal environment. Digestive issues are another overlooked sign. Bloating, constipation, diarrhea, or food sensitivities can worsen when hormones fall out of sync. Estrogen and progesterone influence gut motility and microbiome composition. Thyroid hormones regulate digestive speed. When balance shifts, digestion follows. The gut becomes a messenger, not the problem itself. The silence of these symptoms is what makes them powerful. None demand immediate attention. Together, they form a pattern that's easy to live with, until it isn't. Menstrual changes are often the most telling signals, yet they're also the most normalized. Periods that grow heavier, lighter, shorter, longer, more painful, or less predictable are frequently dismissed as stress or age. But the menstrual cycle is a monthly report card for hormonal coordination. Estrogen must rise at the right time. Ovulation must occur. Progesterone must follow. When any part of that sequence falters, bleeding patterns shift. Short cycles can indicate low progesterone or early ovulation. Long cycles may reflect delayed ovulation, insulin resistance, or elevated androgens. Spotting before a period often signals insufficient progesterone support. Painful periods can be linked to estrogen dominance and inflammation. These aren't isolated uterine events, they're systemic signals. Hair changes carry their own quiet language. Hair thinning at the scalp, increased shedding, or texture changes can reflect thyroid imbalance, iron deficiency influenced by hormones, or androgen sensitivity. At the same time, coarse hair appearing on the chin, chest, or abdomen may signal elevated androgens. These shifts are deeply personal and often emotionally charged, yet they're rooted in physiology, not identity. Temperature sensitivity is another subtle clue. Feeling cold when others are comfortable, cold hands and feet, or intolerance to heat can point toward thyroid dysfunction or altered estrogen levels. Hormones regulate thermogenesis. When they drift, the body's internal thermostat recalibrates. Libido changes are rarely discussed openly, but they matter. A diminished sex drive isn't always relational or psychological. Estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone all contribute to desire, arousal, and sensation. When levels fall or fluctuate unpredictably, intimacy can feel distant. This change is often internalized as loss of femininity or connection when it's actually a chemical shift. Brain fog is another common but underestimated sign. Difficulty concentrating, forgetfulness, word-finding issues, or a sense of mental haze can accompany hormonal imbalance. Estrogen supports cognitive function and blood flow in the brain. Thyroid hormones influence neural speed. When these signals weaken, clarity dims. Intelligence doesn't disappear, it just struggles to surface. Inflammation quietly amplifies all of this. Hormonal imbalance and inflammation feed each other. Elevated cortisol, insulin resistance, and estrogen dominance can all increase inflammatory signaling. Inflammation then interferes with hormone receptors, making hormones less effective even when levels appear normal. This is why many women are told their labs look fine, while their bodies feel anything but. The endocrine system doesn't operate in isolation. It listens constantly to sleep, nutrition, stress, emotion, environment. When one input changes, others adapt. Hormonal imbalance is rarely sudden, it's cumulative. And because it develops slowly, it teaches women to minimize themselves, to adjust expectations, to accept discomfort as baseline. Perhaps the most silent sign of hormonal imbalance is how normal it feels over time. The body recalibrates, symptoms become familiar, fatigue becomes personality, anxiety becomes temperament, irregular cycles become just how I am. The longer imbalance persists, the more invisible it becomes. Environmental exposures add another quiet layer. Endocrine disrupting chemicals found in plastics, fragrances, cosmetics, and pesticides can mimic or block hormonal signals. These compounds don't announce their presence, they accumulate gradually, altering receptor sensitivity and hormone metabolism. The effect isn't immediate, it's erosive. Over years, signaling clarity fades. Gut health continues to shape the hormonal landscape. The microbiome plays a key role in estrogen metabolism through what's known as the estrobolome. When gut bacteria are imbalanced, estrogen may be reabsorbed or cleared improperly. This alters circulating levels without changing production. The feedback loop shifts. The cycle adjusts. Symptoms appear far from their origin. Blood sugar instability often hides in plain sight. Energy crashes, irritability between meals, and intense hunger can all reflect insulin dysregulation. Insulin doesn't just manage glucose, it communicates with ovaries, adrenal glands, and fat tissue. When insulin signaling falters, hormonal paths follow. Even immune activity matters. Autoimmune conditions disproportionately affect women and often coexist with hormonal imbalance. The immune system and endocrine system share pathways. Chronic immune activation can suppress thyroid function, alter cortisol rhythms, and disrupt ovarian signaling. Symptoms overlap, causes blur. What makes hormonal imbalance so difficult to identify is that it doesn't belong to one specialty. It touches gynecology, endocrinology, psychiatry, dermatology, gastroenterology. Women are often treated in pieces, while the system connecting those pieces goes unaddressed. But the body is not fragmented. It speaks in patterns. Hormonal imbalance is not a weakness. It's not a failure of resilience or discipline. It's a response to inputs, some chosen, many inherited, others imposed by modern life. Recognizing the signs isn't about fear, it's about literacy, learning the language the body has been speaking all along. Because silence does not mean absence. It means the signal has been quiet long enough to be ignored. And listening, truly listening, is often the first step toward restoring rhythm.